Hey everyone, it's Joy here, and I am so excited to be sharing the Winterberry background. And I did a little bit of spotlight stenciling so we can just highlight some of this beautiful gold embossing. So here is that Winterberry background stamp. It is so gorgeous, you guys. And then I'm using the 6x6 masking stencil, along with the Merriest Christmas stamp and coordinating die, the Simple Strips Christmas stamp, the Simple Strips die, foam sticky strips, cherry pop ink and cilantro ink, along with Versamark. I will be using gold embossing powder, gold drip drops, a bitty blender brush, the Misty cherry pop and sugar cube cardstock. So I have a piece of my sugar cube cardstock in this beautiful brand new Misty, you guys. It is so gorgeous. I love this color. It's my favorite. I am prepping my cardstock with the anti-static powder tool, and then I will be using Versamark ink to ink up this background stamp. I want this to be gold embossed because I think, especially on images like this for your background, to just really add some elegance to it, do some sort of metallic bossing, whether it be gold or silver or whatever. I choose gold because I absolutely love gold. It's my favorite. So I'm going to get that good and inked up, making sure that all of my images have transferred onto my cardstock. And then I can sprinkle on the gold embossing powder. I do have my heat tool already heating up. I want to have minimum warping on my cardstock, so I like to get my heat tool super, super hot. I'm just going to add it to aim my heat tool to the back a little bit to warm it up, and then I go to the front and just go back and forth, making sure to not overheat it because it can get dull. So you'll know it's ready and melted when it is just beautifully shiny. And I am going to trim this down slightly smaller than an A2 sized card. Okay, now we can get ready to start our stenciling. Like I said, I'm using the 6x6 masking stencil, and we're just going to have 3 little spotlight areas that we're going to ink blend. I'm going to use cherry pop ink for this, and I'm going to start with my first piece. This is going to highlight the sentiment, so I just want to start here, and then I can add the other 2 where I want it. But this is where I want to have my sentiments. So I'm going to make sure that's nice and straight. I can tape that down in place. I'm using a bitty blender brush. These are my favorite because I feel like I can control where the ink goes really easily. And when I'm stenciling, I like to have a darker area and a lighter area. So I'm going to start on the outside part and go the darkest, and then just ink blend softly towards the inside by not adding any more ink to my brush. So right now I'm just working that outside and then gently going inside. So we're going to have a nice dark area, a nice shadow area, and then a lighter area in the center. I peel that up, and then I can get my other 2. I'm going to go to the top. First, I wanted to wipe off a little bit of the ink off of the embossed area. I did forget to do that on the other 2, but when you do it, it makes sense to do it with the stencil around it, because then you don't accidentally smear ink on the non-inked area. So once again, adding the ink to the outside area, just where the stencil meets the paper, and then lightly blending inside so we can have a nice shadow area and a nice light area. And then one more at the bottom. And I do like that these are hanging off. It makes your image seem larger. It seems like it's going on forever. It's not just floating in the center of your cardstock. So I'm going to finish ink blending that, and then we can get to the sentiments. This is the Merriest Christmas stamp set. I'm going to stamp it with cilantro ink. This is a beautiful green ink. I thought this pop of green would be fun against all of this red, white, and gold. And then I can use the coordinating die to die cut this out. It says Merriest Christmas. And then I'm going to use the Simple Strips Christmas stamp set on sugar cube cardstock, and I'm inking that up with my Versamark ink. I prepped my cardstock with the anti-static powder tool, and then I'm going to sprinkle on the gold embossing powder. I love to have gold sentiments, especially for Christmas cards. I think it's super, super elegant, even if you don't have any other gold embossing on your card whatsoever. I'm going to heat that with my heat tool once again until it's nice and melted. And then I can use the coordinating die, the Simple Strips die, to die cut out all of these sentiments. It makes it such quick work. And now I have a bunch of these in my stash because I was actually running low. So I'm going to finish heating that up, and then you can see what that die looks like, and you can line up those little square marks on the side to make sure everything is nice and even. I'm going to tape that in place and then run that through the die cut machine. Now we can adhere our card. I've got a sugar cube card base, a piece of cherry pop cardstock slightly smaller than that. Then our embossed background is a little bit smaller than that cherry pop mat that we're going to use. I've got foam sticky strips behind my panel because I want this to have dimension, and I can just trim off that excess and then pop that right into the center of the card. This is a super easy card, you guys, but it is gorgeous. This would be a great card to mass produce, actually. I think it would go pretty quick. Then we have the sentiments. I want both of those popped up with foam tape. So again, using those foam sticky strips, I've just got those little pieces left over from that background piece. Then I can adhere to these, and then I'm going to line them up on that little center masking stencil. I'm going to line up the other sentiment that says Warm Winter Wishes. That's that gold embossed one. And then the top one says Merriest Christmas. I want to add a few of the gold drip drops just to finish off this card. So I'm using my Barely Art glue and my embellishment wand to adhere those down. And then this card is finished. I think this is such a lovely Christmas card. It's just very different, but super pretty. I hope that you guys enjoyed this card, and I hope that you feel inspired. You can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.